Josephine Baker was the first African American woman to travel across the Atlantic Ocean and reach international fame.
Her story is one of triumph and perseverance. For every opportunity, she made it into something great. Josephine Baker, a celebrated entertainer, was also an activist, challenging stereotypes of African Americans.
The one, the only, the legendary. What gave you the strength to be Josephine, especially in a world where, as a woman and a Negro, you were believed to have no voice?
Well, I've always been Josephine. I was born Josephine. I don't consider myself to be much of a hero. As a small child, I grew up in St. Louis where my sisters and I would steal coal and sell it to help our family. I witnessed the East St. Louis race riot and it forever changed me. The fighting that flooded the streets, I knew I wanted to escape, run away, and never look back. I didn't have any plan. I just followed my feet.
Hmm.
And so she did. Josephine Baker followed her feet all the way to the stage where she performed the Folie Bergère, the highly praised banana dance. Though controversially considered exploitation, moves from Josephine's routine resembled African tribal dance.
You often made faces and crossed your eyes in your performances, which was perceived by many as a modern day minstrel show. How do you feel about that?
Cross eyes? Oh, that. Well, that was just my way of clowning. I mean, there's not so much fun in such a serious face. To view my shows as a minstrelsy makes it clear that there is no appreciation for art. In fact, that's why I left America. To France, I was the African American they wanted to see. I started off as quite the comedian. Come to Josephine Baker's show if you want to laugh at American colonialism. That's what the banana dance was.
In fact, according to dance critic Andre Livingston, Josephine had the compelling potency of the greatest examples of the Negro sculpture. In La Revue Negre, the plastic sense of race sculptors came to life, and the frenzy of African heroes swept over the audience. It was no longer a grotesque dancing girl who stood before them, but the image of a black Venus.
So, what did you gain in France that you couldn't even fathom living in the United States?
Well, for one, in the audience, I was unwanted in America. All African Americans were. I saw that clearly as a young girl during the East St. Louis riots. In France, I was not a floppy shoe performer on a street corner. For the first time in France, I was clothed in silk and furs that didn't make my skin itch. I performed in grand concert halls, danced in ballrooms that could sleep my entire family, with room for the neighborhood. I lived in such a different life that in my return to America once again, I was tragically reminded of who I was. Forced to enter clubs through the back door, perform for segregated audiences, I refused. So I politely called my friends of the NAACP and told them they had a show to attend. And my shows were a little more colorful after that.
And with the saying that art imitates life, Josephine Baker's life indeed became more colorful. Adopting children of varying ethnicities was her personal way of combating racism.
Dance is movement. Movement is change. Over her time, Josephine Baker made history. Her unique dance transferred African American culture from one country to another.